Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be here. 36 years in the army means hell of a lot. Immense trials, immense tribulations, and triumphs at the end of the day. Let me take you through what I've been. Let me start first with a quote from Achona Dilwaya, a Canadian philosopher and a writer. Pain teaches you more than pleasure. Failure teaches you more than success. Poverty teaches you more than prosperity. And adversity teaches you more than comfort. Straight from here, I want to move to another quote by Colin Powell. Colin Powell was the chairman, U.S. Chiefs of Staff Committee and the Secretary of State under George W. Bush. Look at the words hard work coming multiple times in his quote. Success is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. A dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Success is a result of perfection, hard work, learning from failure, loyalty, and persistence. Ladies and gentlemen, most of us present today are average Indians. At every stage of our life, we face trials. We were tempted to overcome it, and that's our tribulations. In some places we succeeded, in some we failed, and we've had to attempt again. Trials come at the very end. I too am an average Indian. Your trials would have begun from school days, when you have to decide which subject are you going to take to graduate from school. A choice of wrong subjects and you're left nowhere. When you join college, the position where you're in now, your decision is when do you stop studying and start working. And when you join an organization, you're competing with your colleagues to go faster and better in life. You're proving to your superiors that you're capable. You're handling your subordinates, working with them to get the tasks and the missions that have been given to you completed in time. And at the same time, you are responsible to take care of their welfare. I, like you, am an average Indian. I've gone through my set of trials, tribulations, and triumphs. Throughout our life, we hear of the success of a few people who made it very early in life. A number of them will be coming and speaking here today. They are the ones who've been able to identify their strengths and exploit it to the maximum. Most of us have had to struggle through life. I've had my own trials. My decision to join the army was taken very early in life, basically because of the fraternity within the armed forces community, in which my father was. I decided to follow his footsteps. The first mistake I made in life was I chose the wrong subject to graduate from school. Subjects that the National Defense Academy doesn't consider for its entrance examination. I lost 6 months preparing for the exam. 6 months during training because I was not aware of science subjects. But I went through all that. And in a service where age is a major limiting factor, losing 1 year is a big loss. But that was part of the game. Leadership in the armed forces, or in fact trials in the armed forces, is based on leadership. The ability to take decisions in difficult situations and being with your men in times of adversity and leading from the front when things get tough. Simplistically put, our trials are leadership, courage, and the ability to suppress your own fear and worries when you have men with you carrying out a mission. I joined the unit on commission in June 1979. That was 8 years after the 71 war. And the men I was expected to lead were veterans of the 71 war, and a large number of them veterans of the 65 war. A young 22-year-old expecting to lead men with far more maturity, far more experience, far more ability to function in difficult environments was not easy. But this is where the grooming of the first boss that you have, he is the one who's responsible to put your feet in the ground, is give respect to gain respect. The second which he taught me was his own personal example. You're never too big to apologize for mistakes to your subordinates. The third, which depended on the task that he gave me and I learned from them, learn from experience of your juniors. And this saved my life on multiple occasions. Finally, which is what you've seen in every war that we fought, the leader suppresses his own fear. You have to do it because the men who are with you gain confidence if you are confident. In fact, within 1 year of service, I was leading the same men in flood relief operations in Assam, guarding the Digboy oil refinery, dealing with the Assam agitation, patrols deep into Arunachal Pradesh for 10 days deep into the jungles, moving with my equipment on mule track for 7 to 10 days to deploy the guns in case of a war with China. I did that with 1 year of service with men far older because they learned to respect. The respect did not come because of my seniority. It came because I lived with them. I ate with them. I sat with them. Spent time talking to them of their families, their villages, their problems and their difficulties. And they opened up their hearts. And they started coming to me for advice. And this is when I come to the quote of Colin Powell once again. The day soldiers stop bringing you the problems is the day you stop leading them. They've either lost confidence that you can help or concluded you do not care. Either case, it's a failure of leadership. As you grow senior in service, the men that you command increase in numbers. The responsibility increases. The pressure of taking decisions in the fog of information increases. Let me give you 2 examples of me as a young officer dealing in adverse situations. The first was in Mozambique as part of the UN mission. Our task as observers was to be dropped deep into the jungle, establish camps where the rebels would come in, surrender their weapons, and we were supposed to look after them. The rebels who were living in jungles were ill-fed, ill-clothed, ill-disciplined, and ready to fire at any time. All of them possessed AK-47 rifles, which today the militants use in Jammu and Kashmir. We set up the camp. There was a gap for the rebels to come. I was moved out for 2 to 3 weeks. I came back and I walked into a camp facing near revolt. A few hundred rebels with weapons in their arms surrounding the tent where the observers were huddled inside in fear. All of them came from nations which had never experienced violence. Along with the few social workers that we had, in sheer panic, not knowing what to do, how to control the situation, someone had to take the initiative. Walked in, took a quick step, stock of the situation, grabbed the interpreter and walked out. Pulled up a chair, sat in front of the rebels and asked for their leaders. If you think I was a Rambo or I was not scared, you're sadly mistaken. A foreign country, language unknown, culture unknown, ill-disciplined, armed men in front who were willing to fire at any time. And as far as the United Nations was concerned, a loss of a few lives meant nothing except a few words of condolences. Because peace at the national level was far more important for the success of the UN than a few loss of lives. It took a few hours, a lot of convincing, and peace was restored. From the very next day, I converted that camp into a typical Indian Army unit. Physical training in the morning, education classes, farming, walking around, exercises, games in the evening, sports competition, education competitions. I made their life so tough that from morning to night they were only busy. At the end of 8 months when I left Mozambique to come back to India, the same men who were revolting on day 1 lined up as a parade with whatever clothes they had, whatever dress they had, as a symbolic farewell. It's happened only once and never again. And this was not because they considered me someone special. It was because they realized that there is someone who cares, someone who's worked for their benefit. The second incident is of 1995 in the Poonch sector of J&K. 1995 was the time when militancy was flowing from Kashmir all the way down to Jammu. The Kashmiri Pandits had been hounded out of Kashmir. The border fencing had yet to come up. Rashtriya Rifles, which today is the backbone of defeating militancy in J&K, had yet to be raised. I had a huge area of responsibility, 250 to 300 men with me. My task was simple. You may call it simple. It was ensure that there is no massacre of villages. And all the villages that I had were Dogras and Sikhs in my area of responsibility. Ensure no movement of militants through your area. Ensure no incidents in your area. An area was about almost 500 kilometers. 24/7, my men were on the move. Ambushes at night, patrolling in the day, interacting with village leaders, building confidence, building an atmosphere of trust. Remember, those were the days there were no communication, no mobiles, literally no telephones in those areas. Everything was going reasonably all right. We were getting our success, we were getting the militants, we were getting what we wanted. One night, sitting in the camp, we heard firing on the hills behind. One village had been struck. What you could hear was AK-47s and you could hear another weapon firing. I was the leader. The team was ready to react. A call had to be taken what to do. The confusion was immense. Had the militants hit the village and run away? Were they beaten back? Had they moved back to come again to strike? What were they up to? Were they laying in ambush for us? I took a decision. And my decision was to go straight up the hill on the nearest track and hit the villagers and hit the militants. While we were moving, a young Jawan, Ajay Singh, comes to me. He says, "Sir, I think we're taking the wrong step. We should not go from here, we should change direction." Something came into my mind. I took Ajay Singh's words. And it was the right decision to do, to take the advice of someone way, way junior to me. Because he had far more knowledge and thought process of the area. We moved from a different direction, and the militants were lying in ambush, waiting for us to come. Had I stuck to my thoughts, I would not have been here today. Or possibly, if I would have been here, there would have been enough widows on my shoulder for the rest of my life. But we took the right call, the mission accomplished, the militants taken care of, villages saved, and everything was done all because of someone's advice who was way, way junior. Trials do not end. Then, as you grow senior in any organization, you would find pressures coming on you to either punish or to remove a subordinate whom your boss may feel is wrong. It's a difficult call for you. I've faced it on numerous occasions. The subordinate is responsible to me. If my boss does not like him, you better take me into confidence and I have to be convinced. If you stand by your subordinate, you will earn their trust. You stand by your superior, you would realize that you would gain, but the subordinate would give up on you. You have to take the call. Moving further in life, after superannuation in 2015, I decided to write. I initially started sending my articles on national security, international relations, Indian armed forces, and matters concerning the country to various newspapers and magazines. All I faced were rejections. I faced them for a few months. It's been 4 years, ladies and gentlemen. I've published over 800 articles in magazines, newspapers across the board. I've produced 3 volumes of my book. I published 3 volumes of my book, all containing my articles. I run my own blog. I come on various TV channels as a national security expert. Last evening from Chennai, I came on CNN. I've been interviewed by Russian TV on South Asian affairs. I've been interviewed by newspapers from Germany and Turkey on matters concerning South Asia. Embassies in Delhi are in touch with me to get my thought processes on how the future of international relations concerning India will move. Takes time, takes effort. You will face trials, you will have to go through it by tribulations, and at the end you will triumph. What I want to say is, my triumph is not in the rank which I reached. My triumph is not in the success of my writing. My triumph is this. The men I commanded 3 decades ago still consider me to be one of them. They still consider me to be a person dependable on. I get calls from my men who are settled in Canada, settled in all parts of the country. But that is what is my triumph. Ladies and gentlemen, as you go through life, you will face many trials. It's for you to understand your shortcomings, your weaknesses, and the ability to go around them. Triumph will come provided you have the patience, you have the determination, and you have the will to push. If you do that, there is nobody on earth who can stop you. In the end, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be here to address you all. I hope what I have said today would motivate you all in the future, and possibly you all will go ahead in life. All the best, God bless, Godspeed, and thank you.